Hello and welcome back to the worst Warmachine channel on the internet. I'm Dorian, and this will be a very fun episode of Warmachine Weekly. Now, this topic here was picked out specifically by one of our content overlords, Darrell Duncan. So every single month, my overlords over there in Patreon get to pick a topic that I have to do, and the one that Darrell picked is to go through every single battle engine and rank them. So, nothing controversial whatsoever. I am the absolute, epitome of intelligence and knowledge of the game. There is no way I'm going to have anything in this ranking that'll be not just based on my personal opinion, and I'm sure everyone out there will agree with everything I say. So, be ready to go down the keyboard and make fun of all the things I make, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some things we're not going to agree on. Now, let's actually show the grading system that we're going to be using for this. So, at the top is going to be A. We're going to go A, B, C, D. So, an A tier for these battle engines, this is the awesome tier. These are the ones where these are just so powerful, and if you don't take these battle engines, sure, they might not go into every single list because the synergies aren't right or whatever, but really, whenever you're in this faction and you don't see this battle engine, you really got to ask yourself, should that battle engine be in there? Because it's pretty damn awesome. So those are the powerful ones at the very top. But next up is going to be B tier, and this is going to be ones that are better than the rest. These are the ones where, when you look at them, they're pretty strong. They're not awesome. They're not something where they really need to be in your list because they're so great. But when you look at some all of our battle engines, they're ahead of the curve. They're better than most of them type thing. Now C, these are the crappy ones. These are the battle engines where you take them because you got them. They're suboptimal. Really, you should be taking other choices, but you're taking them because of maybe a meme or I painted it, so I got to put it in there. But you got to realize that based on its points, it's just not going to be making those points back, and it's just a crappy battle engine. So, on the tier, it's down there. Then we get to D, and D is going to be our dog shit tier. This is just the one where, it's not even a meme. Why would you take this? This is the worst of the worst. You shouldn't even ever take it off your shelf. Absolute, literal garbage. And I'm sure those are the ones for sure. No controversy. Anything I said is that. We're all going to agree on it. All right, there's also going to be one fifth tier, and the fifth tier is going to be the S tier. It's so high I can't even show it. It's above the screen here. And this is going to be giving to the absolute number one at the end. So once we go through everything, it's obviously going to be one of the A's. We'll look at our A's and pick one of those to put on the crown. Well, apparently that crown goes way far down. It's like the unibrow crown. But anyway, one of the battle engines will get that coveted S tier and be the grand battle engine to rule them all. Now, with that in mind, I want to actually start this with an honorable mention, because the first time I did this, I went through and I have a nice Excel sheet here where I list them all out. I have things like their general point cost, the damage that they can boost, just some general things like that. And there was one that came to me oh wow, this one is amazing for what it can do for its points, and that's going to be Nemo 4. Now, Nemo 4 is a battle engine. It comes in with an awesome gun, it has spells, it can reduce damage, it knocks things down, it comes with a unit, it makes a solo, but it's not really fair to compare this to the battle engines because it's really a super junior on a huge base, and it's like a super junior that comes with free units and solos. It is ridiculous. So Nemo 4, hats off, you are awesome, but we're going to exclude you from this whole tier ranking because it's not really fair. You're not a battle engine like the rest of these are battle engines. So what I'm going to be doing now is jumping in. We're going to hit these one at a time. We're just going to be going through as the order they are in War Room. So we'll do the Cygnar ones, Menoth ones, all the way through. and we're going to have to quickly review them just so that we know all the rules. A battle engine isn't just the fact that it is a large base with a weapon, so we're going to go through these things. And I have, again, my notes just to make sure I remember the important things. So the first one here, as we get into it, is going to be in Cygnar, and it is going to be the Storm Strider. So the Storm Strider is 17 points. It's going to be having a pretty cool gun where it gets 2 shots, range 14, POW 15, critical, disruption. It has electro leaps off of that. It also has a kick that's POW 13, also does electro leaps off of that. Has dual attack, has repulsor field, so if you hit it, you get pushed away. It has super conduction, so things get +2 hit while it's all around it. It's a pretty awesome battle engine. And for the grade, I'm giving it an A. I just wrote it on there. I just said it. This is amazing. As we go through these, it was actually kind of amazing that it's actually one of the more expensive ones, even though it actually just came down in points. But yeah, this thing is amazing for the job it does. Of course, it synergizes with anything else that does extra lightning damage. It is just an awesome battle engine. And honestly, if you're in there and you're taking a jack at 17 points, you should really ask yourself if it should not be this Storm Strider. It's amazing. Take it. It's awesome. All right, that's it for Cygnar. We're ignoring Nemo 4, so we're now leaving this faction, and now we're going to be moving on to good old Menoth. Now, Menoth has the Vessel of Judgment. Now, the Vessel of Judgment is 15 points, so it's a little bit cheaper. It doesn't have a melee weapon, and it's a little bit slow. It's it's speed 4, armor 20. It does have a gun that's range 12, rate of fire 1, POW 15, but it does have Admonisher, so you hit it and hit some other things around it. It also has reload, so that you can be getting one, and I guess that we have to talk about how you can do this because you need to have tokens. That Storm Strider gets D3 tokens every single time you could be using the boost. It's amazing. It's a great place to start. It's kind of like shows us what it means to be good. Awesome gun, lots of damage, kicking things, lightning going all over the place, and you're even getting tokens. You can be boosting these things even higher. This thing, well, it has reload, so it has to be getting something from somewhere. And the way that it does this is it gets kind of abilities by hurting itself. So what it has here has like destructive power, so it could like take a damage, so you can actually be boosting your attack or damage rolls. So that's a choice. That reload, you could take D3 damage in order to do that extra attack. There's not actually a token you use, so you're kind of hurting yourself. And then it has like these powers from the Holy Reliquae. It has the Bonds of Faith, where you can be like healing other things, but by taking D3 damage, you can be making it so that you make a living faction model, be able to go after it dies to make an attack, like move an attack, and then it goes away. And it has this eruption thing, so that whenever it does this, it's like it's an unboostable POW 12 that it does the things on it, and it's just, it's not that good, right? Like it has this that's really slow. It has like a garbage gun that can kind of like do things to like really weak things. In order to actually do stuff, it's continually hurting itself. It's just, I'm going to put this one as like near the bottom. I think this is like one of the dog shit ones. This is one of the ones where if you see this Vessel of Judgment, you're like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like this thing's trash. Like, D. It's locked in. It's in my Excel sheet. So now I have a great example right from the beginning of what a really good one is and what a really bad battle engine is. So, Vessel, I want to love you, but you look cool, but that's about all you got going for you. All right, now we're going to be going to Khador, and Khador has 3 different battle engines that we have to be talking about here. The first one is going to be the Assault Chariot. It's 14 points, so pretty cheap for sure. Like almost the cheapest one that we have out there. It's pretty fast. It's speed 7. Okay, armor. Okay, boxes. There's a mount kick that actually has knockdown and trampling hooves. So this model can make charge attacks with this that actually, like, in addition to its impact hit. So getting in there and kicking things down, that's pretty cool. It has a barrage gun, so it's range 10, D3 plus 1 shots. They're all POW 12, so do. It has dual attack, it has line breaker, so it has additional die on impact attack roll, so you can actually hit. And then it also has high explosive, so while you're shooting this gun, it's AoE 4, and you're kind of like trying to shoot down all this infantry, do. So really what this thing wants to do is say, oh, you got a whole bunch of infantry? Skadoosh, I'm going to go and slam into you, and then dual attack, and shoot down a bunch with high explosive, and shoot them all down. This would have been great in Mark II, and even in this new world of Mark III, where we're having a little bit more infantry, it's usually like medium infantry, or stuff that has really high armor, and the world of unboosted POW 12s is not gonna do anything. Like, it's really sad when like one of the most powerful things that's gonna be happening here is like the mount POW 15, right? Like, leave the chariot at home. Can we get more of these horses? So this is another one where, as cheap as it is, it's going down to that D, and this is a dog shit one. Apparently all we're extremes here. We're only A's or D's going through this. So that's going to be the assault chariot. Sorry, boom, you're a D. It's locked in. Next one here is going to be the siege chariot. So this one is now 15 points, still fast, still has a big, strong, kicking horse that has knockdown and a trampling hooves. It's now going to be having a heavy gun that's range 10, POW 20, and also has smite. So whenever you directly hit something, it's slammed D6 inches away. Now, it also has some other things on here. It has the dual attack. It has the line breaker again. It also has smoke launchers, so you can go and like place some AoEs down here. It has some pretty cool things. And I mean, like, the slam ability is very strong. You know, like, it is Rat 6. It's okay. You can be hitting some heavies. It is a POW 20, which is like, you know, like you look at the big guns on the storm wall and like that's like 15. This thing's POW 20. So it can do some real work. So it wants to charge in there and slam things. And those slams, if you can knock something down, can like set up an assassination. So that's pretty cool. The problem here is that there's no boosting mechanic, and so it's not really reliable. And so it's cool, but it's not really that great. So because of that utility of having that slam, like if this thing didn't have the slam, I think it would be crappy. But because it had that slam and now it can really set up assassinations, I'm going to be putting this one here as a B. So better than most. So there you go. It turns out we can do things that are not just on the extremes. All right, Khador has 3 battle engines, so we also have the gun carriage. Now this one is 17 points, getting more expensive again. Speed 8, so it's even faster, and this thing has a lot of attacks. We have the same horse on here, but the horse now, it's an older horse. You know, this house here is only a POW 14. It still does knockdown, but it also has a ton of bricks. A model hit by non-impact attack with this weapon is slammed D3. So now these horses, weaker, but they're like, nay, and kicking things away and slamming things D3. So that's pretty cool. It also has a military rifle that is range 10, POW 11. That's really it. It's just really a random rifle to go out there and shoot. As rear attacks, it can shoot behind you. It's just like an extra thing they put on there because it's on the model and it looks cool. Let's add a rule. The main things it really has is 2 different heavy cannons. Each one is range 10, AoE 4, POW 16, and then these things also have crater. So it's also rough terrain that goes in play. So that's pretty awesome. The other thing that's going to be on here too is it has the dual attack, has the line breaker, but it also has crushing weight. And what crushing weight says is that when it charges, this model is not required to move at least 3 inches to make impact attacks. So like if they already run to engage you, you're just like, bam, and you just like impact all these things and you can do lots of work to them right in front of you. Now, what this thing wants to do then is it still kind of wants to charge in and be like knocking things and slamming things, but it can also just kind of like do some damage from a wave, like shoot, try and put down these craters and be an annoyance. So that's pretty alright, right? Trying to be annoying and doing that thing. But annoying doesn't win you games. So it's doesn't have a boost mechanic. It's kind of more expensive. I'm just not loving this thing. You know, like it's not dog shit. There's something there. You know, like it has some cool slam things. It has some neat control things. We're going to put this one as crappy. This is our first crappy one we have on there. It's just like, ugh, I wish it was cheaper. I wish it had a boosting mechanic, something. It's not auto trash. I mean, like I've seen some cool things being done with this on the table, but in general, it's just pretty disappointing. And if it wasn't, honestly, it's like, I think it's actually those little kicks, the ton of bricks of the actual like little horses going like man, like just slamming things. Again, that gives it something and kind of like saved it from the D and being dog shit. So Khador, that's everything for you. And now we are going to be moving on to one that I know some people really hate. So we'll see what my thing is. And this is going to be for Cryx and now the Wraith engine. Wraith engine, very different from the other ones because it's more of like a big combat monster. So it is now 15 points. It does not have any guns. Speed 7, pretty fast. Incorporeal. Out of all these battle engines, this is the only one that's like undead and incorporeal. I hope you have magic weapons or I get to attack first. So that's pretty interesting. Again, no weapons, but it does have 2 combat weapons that are range 2, P+S 15. Sounds low, but it also has Dark Shroud. So it's something that can go in there, apply Dark Shroud. That means that these attacks are basically POW 17s. So, you know, pretty legit, especially when you can charge in and do a main one there. It also has Inscrutable, so they can't get control of it. It has Rapid Strike, so this model can make 1 additional melee attack each combat action. So really it has 3 combat attacks it can be making there all the time. It also has Unhallowed, so while in this model's command range, friendly faction undead models gain +2 armor against range and magical attacks. So that's a pretty good thing to have too. It's like, hey, stick around within 10 inches of me and all my infantry has extra armor against shooting and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then the last thing is Soul Bondage, which is once around, basically when you kill that enemy warrior model within 2 inches of it, you can go and turn it into a machine wraith. And so you're like, charge in, kill some warrior model, it turns into a machine wraith, it moves over, attacks something, does its own shenanigans, like, or just runs over and contest, whatever you need. And that can be pretty janky and pretty fun. Now, of course, if you do go and attack, you'll no longer be incorporeal, but it definitely, as you can see, very different from the other ones. And I know if I talk to some Cryx players, they say like, it is dog shit, it is the worst. I don't feel that. I feel like this one's very interesting, especially in a world where some infantry is coming back. You're getting in there, you're dark shrouding stuff, you're killing it, just making machine wraiths. I think this one's okay to be. It's definitely not awesome. There's no boosting mechanic here. It's not super totally crazy, but it's doing some pretty cool stuff. So it's not crappy, definitely not dog shit. I'm giving this one a B. It is better than most. All right, let's get out of here. And let's go now check out a new faction, which is going to be Retribution. And they also have a couple of battle engines here. And the very first one we're going to be looking at is the Arcantrek Force Generator. Now, this one here is a weird looking one, but it is now 17 points, so a little bit expensive. Speed 4. It's not a fast boy. It wants to find a place to sit and just do its thing. Armor 18. It doesn't fight. It's not a thing that like it punches you, it just shoots. And it has a range 14, rate of fire, POW 14, teleforce cannon. And what that actual weapon does is you get to pick your attack types. So one thing it can do is be AoE 4, and it's a rough terrain that stays there. As Destructor, so that all the damage rolls are boosted. Okay, so a boosting mechanic that's kind of like built in just on the damage. That's okay. Momentum, so if it's medium or small, you can slam it. That can sometimes be worth it. But it also has Carapace. So if something's shooting back at it, it has +4 armor. Okay, I mean, that's going to bring it up to armor 22. That's very resilient. The other thing it has is Polarity Field, so things can't charge you. So they're having trouble shooting you. They're having trouble charging you. This is sounding pretty good. And meanwhile, you're just like, pew, 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 and it's causing trouble. And it also has focus power. So that while within 2 inches of this model, the ranged weapons of friendly warjacks gain +2 range, and if this model uses its normal movement to aim, its ranged weapon gains +2 range, and also +2 to its range attack rolls. So it doesn't have tokens or anything like that, but once it like scuttles into its favorite spot, and at range 14, it usually gets there pretty quick, it can now just aim and be able to shoot farther, get +2 to hit, on top of the aiming, so +4 to hit, and then you can go with the one shot where it's boosted damage. So that whole boosting mechanic is kind of built into this thing. And it's also helping all their things that are around you. I'm loving this. I'm putting this as another A. This is another one that's competing for that S at the end. And I know that maybe some people put it a little bit lower, but with the changes in this last update where it's now helping the things around and stuff like that, like that's pretty awesome. So hooray, thumbs up for the Force Generator. Trident. So next thing here is the Dawnguard Trident. Let's go down to it. Boop. And this thing now, 16 points. So, okay, a good affordable one. It's fast. It's at speed 7, armor 8. It has a ram prow. And what that is a POW 16. But the big thing of the ram prow is it has smite. So you can hit into something and you can slam it away. Pretty fun, pretty cool. It also has 3 different guns that are kind of on different arcs, but they're basically all the same. They're all going to be range 10, D3 shots, and then POW 13. So there's a little bit of randomness here. You're going to get somewhere between 3 and 9 shots, but the main thing is that you're going to be getting a lot of shots. Plus, it has dual attack, so you can charge in, slam something, and then do. So you can be doing a lot of work. It has build-up power, so really it's getting 1 extra token every single turn. So that works out well, because you usually have 1 in the first turn. You're not going to be using it. You can save it for later. It has coordinated movement, so really things can kind of like... other things ignore it for a line of sight that are friendly and can move through it. So, okay, that's cool enough. It also has the... what is it? I want to call it the Psycho Matrix. Is that right? Yes, the Psycho Matrix. Weird. Okay, I always thought it was called something else. But anyway, it can spend its power token to do one of these things. So what it can do is basically be doing it to get force barrier for 1 round, and so that's going to make it so it's +2 defense and then +4 armor against blast damage. It can do the telekinetic wave, so it can move something 2 inches. It itself has repo. It also has shooting gallery, so you're +2 to hit things within 5 of you. So you're really encouraged to like slam in there. I mean, if it's slammed and knocked down, you're pretty much auto hitting it. If it's close to you now, you're going to be basically Rat 6 going to Rat 8, and then you got some things to boost as well. This is an easy A. This is an awesome one. Apparently, Retribution doing fantastic with their battle engines. We got 2 A's in there. Let's move on. And I don't think anyone's going to fight me on those, but you never know. Next one here is going to be Convergence, and they have the TEP, the Transfinite Emergence Projector. Now, this thing is pretty interesting. It is 16 points, got cheaper rates recently. It is speed 5, armor 19, and to start off, it has a rate of fire spray 10 that is POW 11. And you're like, that's it? A couple of sprays that are weak? Well, that's really weird. Well, here's the thing. It has this this whole thing where you get these little servitors around it as well. So first of all, this thing's a gun platform. It can make its range attacks even when it's engaged. The little servitors around have sac pawn, so if you're shooting me, I can just shield guard it to these little things here. These servitor satellites, what happens is I can get them back if they die. And the other main thing here too is that depending where they are around me in my base, I'm actually using them to change my stats. So either I'm getting an additional shot, boosted to hit, or boosted damage. And so that's why it seems like it's weak at the very beginning there, but when you look at everything full power, and I'm going to be like boosting it with 3 dice type thing. Like, that can be crazy. And if I need to hit because we're high defense, okay, everything over here. And you get to kind of put them wherever you want. Like, these things are amazing. It used to have, you know, like fewer boxes and it was more expensive. It got way better now. I think this thing is amazing, and so I'm putting this one as another A. I think this one is awesome. You convergence players, it used to be a dominating threat. It should be coming back. This thing is great. Get in your list. It is awesome. All right, so some pretty high praise there. We're having some pretty good contention already for the S's. Let's now go on to Crucible Guard, and this is going to be the Railless Interceptor, and oh boy, this one does work. 16 points, so not that bad. Speed 6, armor 19, tons of boxes, and this thing has tons of attacks. First of all, it has a bash, that's POW 15, and it also has ram, so when you do that, you can kind of like move something. Then it's going to be having an alchemical cannon, which is a range 14, AoE 4, POW 15. And I gotta check all these things. I know some of these things do stuff. Also has a scather that's going to be leaving there. All the other things is going to have a flamethrower, so it is now a spray 8, POW 12, that's going to be lighting you on fire. It's going to have 2 other sprays that are one on either side, range 10, POW 14, that are cold typed. So there's a chance there could be some immunities. There's some chance there where it's not going to do much. But it's going to have build up power. So it's going to be getting tokens. It has bulldoze. It has dual attack. Again, the ram thing, it's not that big of a deal. Exhaust flames. So that's going to be doing, or fumes. So it could be giving concealment to stuff around you. And it has repo. So this thing just has so many attacks. So many of them are actually sprays. So you're just like, get in the world, boosting whatever you need. If you're, say, with Silvestro, where you're getting like all that synergy there, like just so much work you're getting out of this thing. I love it. These things are amazing. I would have put this thing as awesome before it got these extra tokens, and now that it has a token as well, this is another awesome one. This is going up there as an A. All right, well, apparently Malorian loves everything. Everything's getting very high ratings, so let's test that as we now go on to Infernals. Don't have anyone that's a battle engine, so we're going to be going on to Mercenaries, and now we're looking at the Siege Crawler. And if you guys know me, you know my thoughts on the Siege Crawler. It is 18 points, one of the most expensive ones on here. Correction, the most expensive one that's on here. It does have a lot of boxes. It has 40 boxes and 20 armor, so that's something to say, is that it's just like a big sack of crap that's going to take a lot to deal with. It has bash, which, just like we said for the last one, doesn't really matter. It is like, sure, I guess I can kind of like bump into you with my tank. It has a quad cannon, so range 10, D3 plus 1 shots at POW 12. Sure. And then it has 2 big shots on it. So 2 siege breaker shots, range 12, AoE 4, POW 15. The cool thing on this is crit stagger, and there's siege weapons. So if you know you're up against another huge base, okay, we can do some extra damage. But the problem is that there's nothing on the card here to boost, which really sucks when you have a critical effect. So that really hurts it. Now, the things that help it is that it has bulldoze, it has dual attack, which again doesn't really matter when one of your combat attacks is like a little hit that doesn't matter. It has this periscope that lets you like take stealth away from one thing. It has reinforcements, so that's something that's very interesting, is that if you are playing it with some other Rulic models, you can bring back D3 models each turn. So that is something that does have going for it. But overall, it's just something where it basically goes up and tries doing work, but if you're trying to shoot and do things, like, you probably want to keep the infantry away so you're not doing it, so you're not really using the reinforcements at first. And then even if the reinforcements are up there and you're blasting something else and bring some things in, you're not really doing very much with your shots because you can't be boosting the hit. You're only a rat 6. You're probably not getting the crits. If you're lucky, you're shooting something that's a big, huge base and they're getting the siege thing. But yeah, like, there's some times where you can be like using this with like Osram and just be like, feet choo-choo in your face. I hope you can chew through these. But even then, they usually just kill it. You know, like things hit hard enough now that that's it. So I'm not going to say dog shit. It's not the absolute worst. There's some cool things on here, but it is pretty bad. I'm going to give it a C. I'm going to say it's crappy. Moving on. So now we've done everything in the Warmachine world. We're going to move over to the Horde side of things, and we're going to be going to the Trollbloods. And the first one in here is going to be the Hooch Howler. Now, the Hooch Howler is 15 points, speed 7, so pretty good and fast, okay boxes, 19 armor. This thing has a mount attack, so it can go and kick you. It has the whole knockdown and trampling hooves, so that's pretty cool. Charge in and knock something down. It also has a good amount of shots as well. So it has a cask bomb, so it can kind of like throw the booze at you. So it's a range 8 only, AoE 4, POW 16, but it's continuous fire. And for this thing as well, it also has accelerant. A model hit by this attack suffers oil for 1 round. And what oil does is that once something's oiled, fire damage rolls are automatically boosted. Okay, that can have some things, especially when the other attacks it has is its torches. So it has 2 of these, 2 spray 10s, POW 12s, which also light things on fire and are fire type. And yeah, that means that if you do the first one first and oil it and get that accelerant, then these will go on and they'll be boosted damage. So that's pretty cool. The other thing it has on it has Beer Wagon. So this can be using it once per activation, and it says that while within 5 inches of this model, friendly Northkin War Beast and Warrior models gain Stumbling Drunk. So what the Stumbling Drunk thing really does is if you're hit, you kind of like move a random direction. So if you're a single wound model, you might just be hit and die, but if you're like a War Beast, okay, you come and you punch me and like, ooh, now I'm over here, and maybe you're not engaging me anymore. It has dual attack, which can actually be helpful here, repo, and also veteran leader Northkin. So gaining +1 to attack rolls for your Northkin models in his command range. Now, this thing did come down to a lot of points, which helps it a lot. If you really built it in something that has a lot of fire attacks, you can use this as a big assassination piece. Run in there, charge something, knock it down, accelerate it, or accelerant it, light on fire more with your flamethrowers, and then if you take some pyro trolls and other things, like just big boosted damage stuff going on. So there's no other like boost things on here, and obviously it's really narrow in where you can actually use it. You know, if you take it in things where if nothing else is Northkin, if nothing else is fire, it's really just kind of doing its own thing. And I think like if you charge into a heavy, you're just going to kind of more annoy it than doing anything else. Like you might go and do like some little chip damage, and then they're probably going to kill this thing. So I think it's something that's going to disappoint you. You know, again, it's not dog shit. It really helps that it went down and got improved since before. I think before it would have been dog shit, but now we'll give it as a crappy. It is definitely not one of the good ones that are out there. Now, the next one is the War Wagon. This one's going to be 16 points. It's going to be, again, speed 7, really fast. It's going to be armor 19, good amount of boxes. It has that mount attack again, that has the knockdown, ton of bricks, all that cool stuff going on here. And then it has 2 different shots as well. The first one here is going to be the Pounder. So range 12, AoE 5, POW 17. It's a real pounder of a shot that also has arcing fire and quake. So if we're not going to knock you down by my little horsies kicking you in the face, well, I might just shoot you with this cannon and quake you down as well. And at AoE 5, that can clip a lot of things. It also has a scattergun, and that is just a scattergun. It is a spray 8, POW 12. Sure, why not? An extra shot that's on there. Otherwise, it has dual attack, it has crushing weight, so when it charges, this model is not required to move at least its 3 inches, that whole thing. It has line breaker, repo, and also shooting gallery, so also helping you shoot those things that's in your face. So this thing really, like we're going to say with some other things, want to slam in, and if you get a good target, like it's already knocked down. You can blast and shoot it with your quick cannon, spray it, do all these cool things, or just be in the mix there and be like, nay, kick something this, shoot over there, knock that thing down, just causing lots of chaos all over the place. Now, again, no boosting mechanic. This thing isn't really super crazy. And I'm actually on the fence on this one. I'm actually on the fence about whether this one's also crappy or whether it's being better than the most. And I think the real thing that comes down here is just how much interference and annoyance this thing can do, where it's just in there knocking things down and really setting things up for the other stuff. And it's not like the other one where, like, I hope you have fire. Really, this thing can be doing a lot of work, knocking things down, setting up assassinations. I actually like it. I'm going to be putting it down as a B. I talked myself into it. All right, so that's everything for the Trollbloods. The next one that we have to be going and ranking then is now going into... Oh, I almost went to the wrong one. I would have gone into a lot of trouble if I did that. Circle Orboros. Now, for them, you know, if I could say the well, you could know that'd be an A for awesome, but it's a structure. It's not a battle engine. We're going to be talking about the Celestial Fulcrum. And this thing is 16 points. Not too bad. Speed 5. It's a little roaming, floating rock. Armor 19. Okay boxes on it. And it's immune to a whole bunch of different things. I mean, like, there's been some stuff before where, like, they have some symbols at the top. Not really a big deal. This one being immune to ice, lightning, and fire damage can be very relevant, right? Oh, hello, Cygnar. I'm sorry. You're not doing anything to me. Oh, hello, Menoth. I'm sorry. You're not doing anything to me. So, very relevant stuff on the card. It also has 3 different shots. So, first one is a Flame Blast, range 11, AoE 4, POW 15, lights you on fire, and I'm pretty sure that one, that's all it does. Lightning Bolt, range 13, POW 14, and this one's also going to be having Electroleap. Okay. The next thing it has is Winter's Rage, spray 10, POW 17, and what it also has is Critical Freeze. Okay. Now it also has Circular Vision, it can shoot all around it, it has Fury Bank. So what actually happens here is that it doesn't generate its own tokens. The Warlock can put Fury on it to spend. So almost just like a War Beast, if a Warlock was a caster having to allocate focus things to it, that's really what this is. It's almost like a Warjack inside of a Horde's faction. So really interesting. It is a gun platform, so it can be making range attacks even when it's in melee. It has Power of the Stones. So during its control phase, it can leech fury from friendly constructs, War Beast, and its faction there. So it can also be getting that fury, so it kind of like helps you out, right? Instead of like your Warlock needing to allocate it and like hand it over, you can be helping the Warlock by taking it off other constructs around you. So it's also fury management. And then finally, it has Veteran Leader Blackclad, so that the Blackclads around it can go and be getting +1 to hit. So that's pretty great too. So we have something with a lot of different attacks, a boosting mechanic, it's helping things out. It's also able to be like being immune to things. I am tempted to make this one an A. The problem is that like the attacks it has, like the one spray it has is only the 12. It's a critical. The other things it has aren't very strong, maybe hitting one thing. Like it's going to do work and it's going to be good for you, but it's not amazing. It's not awesome. So this one I'm putting as a B, better than most, which is pretty good because before all the updates, it probably would have been a C or maybe even a D. So that's everything now for Circle. We're now going to be moving on to Legion, and they have the Throne of Everblight. Now, the Throne of Everblight is 16 points, speed 5, armor 20, good amount of boxes too, no guns on it, but it has 4 different combat attacks, all range 2, they're chain weapons, POW 16, and as well, oh yeah, I said the chain strike on there. I didn't actually. So range 4 on those actually during its activation. So it's going out there and hitting anything it wants around it. Now it has circular vision. Okay, tentacles going everywhere. But it also has magic ability. Because remember, there's a mage on top of this thing. So mage ability 7. It can be doing frostbite. So this is a spray 8. And then everything under is taking a POW 12. It has Spine Burst, so this one is a range 10, and then doing a POW 10, and then hitting the D3 targets around it for POW 10. It also has Ice Cage, range 10, and if you hit something, lowers defense by 2, and if you can hit them 3 times, they become stationary. But I mean, why would you be doing that, right? Like, why would I decide to do this when I could just be making my combat attacks? Well, it also has Necrophase, so this model can make one magic ability special attack each time it destroys or removes from play one or more enemy models with a melee attack. Oh, so that means Tentacle, kill, spray. Tentacle 2, spray. Tentacle 3, spray. Tentacle 4, spray. I can be doing a lot of work with this. Or when we talked about those ice cages, needing to do 3 of those, okay, hit something ice cage, hit something ice cage, hit something ice cage, okay, now you're stationary, and like I could ignore you, hit something, spray over here, or whatever. So all that, like all the medium infantry, they're all like, you know, like stationary. I've banged up this heavy here. I've sprayed down some other infantry as well. This thing does work. So again, no tokens on it. There's nothing like a boosting mechanic on here. It has snacking, so it can heal itself as it's killing stuff. That's pretty cool. But just the amount of attacks this thing can make and the flexibility of choosing what spell you want to be using on there is amazing. So this one here, I'm putting it as an A. I already said it. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's one of the ones that's here at the top of our list. All right, so moving down now here is now going on to good old Skorne. You know me, I like to make fun of Skorne, but in this case here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So let's explain why as we get on to the first one, which is the Siege and a Mantrax. Now, this thing is 17 points, so okay, a little bit more of the pricier one. Speed 8 for some reason. That's the thing that pisses me off about this thing. Why is this thing so fast? You know, armor 20, okay boxes. Now, the weapons all get weird on here. So first of all, it has a club tail. It is range 2, P plus S, 18, and also has knockdown. So okay, there's knockdown on it. It can charge in, knock something down, cool. It also has like these spears. So the spears are actually being made by the people that are on there. So there's these independent, you know, like P plus S 11 attacks, and independent is important because if you jam it, they can be like, stab, stab. All right, now go off, charge something else, and act normally. So those independent attacks can actually be pretty cool. That's all the combat attacks, except for, of course, the mount, which is another POW 15 attack, just added on there as well. And then it's going to be having a gun, which is its double Reaver, a range 12, getting D3 plus 1 shots, POW 13, and then it also is going to be having on their volume fire. So depending on like the size of the model you're shooting, might be getting plus 1 or plus 2 to the rolls. So really important to have on there. Now, if that wasn't enough on everything that's on here, this thing can be, it's a beast, so it can be targeted for medicate and be healed up. It has Cantankerous, so this thing was dangerous or damaged, gets rage tokens. So that's actually how you give this thing tokens. You have your little group of 4, whip, 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 give you 4 tokens, then heal you up. Pretty easy, pretty dependable to do. Dual attack, repo 3, and also can trample as well. It's a battle engine that can be trampling as well. This thing does work. This thing gets an A. It is awesome. I hate it because I hate Skorne, but I have to admit, it's so great. It's so good. It does so much work. It can stay away and shoot you up. It can stab things and then like trample over here and stab things and knock things down and shoot things. It does so much, and it has tokens. It's a definite A. It's going in there. Let's stop gushing over it and go to their next one, which is the Supreme Guardian. All right, the Supreme Guardian, 16 points. It's going to be speed 5, so a little bit slower. Armor 19. It's going to be having one weapon, which is its Obsidian Blade, but it's range 3, POW 18, and this thing here is going to be a siege weapon. So if I hit something else big, look out, you're going to get hurt, and it can do a Thresher. So it's one attack, but Kind of like the Death Archon, but just one of them. Does that mean the Death Archon's better than this because it gets 2 of those attacks? No. But let's go on. It also has a gun, which is the Fires of Rage, Spray 10, AoE 4, Continuous Fire, POW 14, and does it have any other rules on it? I don't think so. No, just a little spray does to light things on fire. It does, though, have other rules on the general model, like as Defensive Strike. And I gotta say, Defensive Strike when you're POW 18, that could mean that when they come in and they're trying to bash you, yeah, you might just take out their weapon or their cortex, and yeah, now you're completely safe. So that's really good. Especially when you also have Divine Inspiration and get an extra dice on your attack and damage rolls, discard the lowest. So you can skew those numbers, definitely hit, definitely do some damage. You also have here direct spirits. So what this really means is that with the soul thing, you get to say where the souls are going to go. That's more cute than good. However, it's also soul taker, so it can get in souls, and then it can use these to arcane vortex, cancel spells. It can be soul powered, so it can be using these to be making an additional a combat attack for each one. So we said it got 1 attack. Well, now it can Thresher and buy some more. It has the Well of Rage, so that you can be bringing back extra small models, like, bring back your infantry with them. So yeah, this thing here doing work. I mean, the gun's pretty weak. It doesn't really automatically have a mechanic for getting tokens. It can get the tokens as the things around it dies. But of course, once it gets in there, like now it's threshering, it's doing work, you try and get on it, it's going to go and it can be hitting you back for free. It is really good. And I think if it had some way to also be getting like dependable tokens all the time, probably a little bit higher. This is one where I think originally when I thought about it, I'd give it an A, but I don't feel it's there anymore. It's actually also kind of limited in the type of armies it wants to be in, because it wants to be with those other things where it can be like directing the souls and not taking all the souls and bring back these certain models. So I'm going to put this one as a B. It's better than most. It's close to awesome, but looking at some of the other awesome ones we have on here, it doesn't really quite get there. So a B plus. I'll give that to you. Okay, this is my 1+ I'll put out there. I'm giving this one a B plus. All right, next one we're going to be ranking on here is now going to be going to Grymkin, and Grymkin has the Death Knell. Now this is the cheapest one. It's 11 points. Wow, like a lot of these other things, cheap would be 15. This one's just 11. Now, if you look at it, it then gets kind of sad. Like, it's speed 6, does not have many boxes, armor 18. It has a mount attack, which is just a mount attack at POW 10 even. Like, this is a weak horse. It has its actual, like, normal attack, which is range 2, also POW 10. So, combat, like, damage-wise, this thing's doing nothing. Now, it also has Bring Out Your Dead, so when an enemy living undead model, blah, blah, destroyed, it's really taking the tokens from when these things die, all the corpse tokens. Okay, well, what are you doing with this? It has Death Feast, so during your activation, it can spend corp tokens to remove D3 damage. Okay, so it can heal itself. That still doesn't help it. As Entropic Force, so within 5 inches, enemies can't be healing or doing toughs. Okay. Finisher, so you're getting additional damage against things already hurt on your POW 10. Okay. It also has Never Ending Pile, so at the start of this model's activation, if it has no corpse tokens, it automatically gets 1. Okay. As special delivery, once per turn at any time during its activation, this model can remove any number of corpse tokens and place them on a friendly model within 5. Aha! That's why it's getting these to put it on your Skin and Bones and stuff like that. Okay, it's coming together. And on top of it, Warmth of the Grave, while this model has 1 or more corpse tokens, friendly faction models gain +2 armor, while being within 4 inches of this model, +1 for each corpse token. Okay. This thing is not here for any sort of combat damage. It's not going to go out there smashing thing. This is a synergy piece. This is thing that's giving corpse tokens to other stuff and raising your armor up. That's the real thing it's doing. It's like the stones from Troll, except it's a battle engine. So how do we rank this? How do we rank this one compared to the other ones? You know, it's definitely not awesome. It's definitely not dog shit. It's something that you probably want to take to load yourselves up. I think this one is going to be a better than most. Like, I almost want to say this one's crappy because it really doesn't do a lot, but for the faction, it does exactly what it needs. Trying to get corpses on the things it needs and trying to raise armor on the stuff that it needs. So, you know, as a force, it's something that you kind of want to have in there to kind of make everything else work. So I'm going to give it a B, but honestly, I wish it was a kind of a little bit better. It probably would also mean then have to be more points. So maybe given the fact that it's 11 points, sure, we're just going to be okay with that. We're going to give that thing a B. All right, we're almost done now. We have one last faction to go to, and that is going to be Minions. Now, Minions also has two. Their first one here is going to be the Meat Thresher, and the Meat Thresher is going to be 16 points, speed 6, armor 19, okay boxes, and let's start with the gun first because the gun's the easy part. The gun's going to have a Hailer, which is range 12, D3 plus 1 shots, they're POW 13, and it also has volume fire. So again, depending on how big it is, you'll be getting +1 or +2 on your rolls. Okay. It's also going to be having Crusher. Now, this is its big rolling thing of doom it has in front of it. It is just one attack. But it's going to be P+S 16, but wait for it because there'll be a lot of stuff going on here. It has Grinding Wheel, so this weapon gains an additional die on attack rolls against small or medium base models to really make sure you're hitting the things you want to grind. You have High Impact. When this model makes its initial melee attack with this weapon during each of its combat actions, it makes one additional melee attack with this weapon against each model in its line of sight that is in its weapon's melee range. So, this is just not one attack. It's like, okay, everything that it's in range, I hit you. Okay, that's better. It has Knockdown, so if I hit you, you're also knocked down, and it's also, on top of that, going to have Thrash. So when I hit you, you'll be knocked down. And then when you're knocked down and I do my damage, now I'm going to be getting an additional dice of damage. There's my boosting mechanic. I need to hit you first. However, you know, if you're small or medium, I'm getting boost to hit you. And then once you're hit, you're knocked down, if you can be knocked down, and then boost damage. Okay, I hear what you're saying here. All right, otherwise it has Bulldoze, so you can actually like bump things and try and get into a good spot because you're a huge base. It's hard to get where you need to be. You have Dual Attack, okay. You have Exhaust Fumes, so again, concealment for friends. And you have Turn Up the Heat, where you can be taking some damage to get +2 speed. So now this thing's actually speed 8, smashing into there, doing some work. Now this thing, I want to love it. I want to love it, saying like, yeah, it's going to get it there. It's going to hit all these things. It's going to grind it. It's going to like knock all these things down. But it's not really that good. Like the boosted mechanic is very narrow in what it can be doing it against. You know, this thing wants to get in your face, but it's always going to have trouble. Like, where's my landing spot? I got to worry about this terrain. I got to worry about this wall. There's this flag in the way, the objective. Like, every time I see people bring this on the table, it sounds cool. It's going to like bulldoze and do this perfect hit everything, knock it down, kill it. Awesome. But then it just turns out it's just awkward. Like, oh no, there's that one large base there or another huge base and it just doesn't work. So I'm not going to give it dog shit. It's better than that, but I'm going to give it a C. It is unfortunately crappy. I wish we had like the same type of rules on something on a large base. I think that thing would be able to do a lot better, but the huge base just gets so big and so awkward. It has a really hard time. So unfortunately, I'm going to give that thing a C. It's kind of crappy. All right. Our last one here to talk about is a Sacravault. It is 17 points, so a little bit more expensive. Only speed 4, so it's kind of slow. And it's armor 20, kind of low in the boxes, to be honest. And it does have one gun. It is a range 12, POW 13, But what this Spectral Fury does is it's Deathly Domination. So when this model boxes a living or undead warrior model, you can immediately take control of it, and then it basically goes and makes an attack before being destroyed. So you shoot something, and it goes and does something else. It attacks, has reload 2, so clearly we have to have some way of doing this. Well, it's with soul tokens. So this thing here is going to be a soul taker, so it can be getting these in. Plus, at the start of each of its control phases, it receives D3 soul tokens if it doesn't have any. So it's always going to have some souls on it. It's also, from that, going to have Soul Storm, so that while this model has at least one soul token on it, enemy models entering or ending its activations within 2 inches of it automatically take 1 point of magical damage. Now, if you're up against something that's a whole bunch of like infantry that's single box, this is almost immune to it because there's not a lot of single wound infantry that has more than 2 inches of threat, if any. And so it's invincible. If you go in, you take 1 point of damage and just die. If you're anything else though, you know, medium infantry, a heavy, whatever else, then it doesn't really do anything there. Now, it can also do other things with its souls. It has Arcane Vortex, so it can be canceling spells. That's cool. It also has Strength of Death. So this thing here, during its combat action, this model can spend a soul token to boost one attack or damage roll. So that kind of helps too to make sure those shots actually do what they need. It's only POW 13 though. And it also has Telemetry to make sure that other things using its magical attacks get +2 if it's within 10 inches of this model here. So this thing's really, really, really good against single wound infantry, and then kind of shitty against everything else. And although infantry is coming back in the game, and this thing was like awesome in Mark II, a lot of the infantry that's coming back now is like a small grouping, and a lot of it is medium infantry. And, you know, like if people see this, you're like, yeah, I'm going to dominate this. But then they're like, send over a heavy and take this thing out. So it doesn't really ever do what you want it to do. And I put this thing down as a C, but I'm actually going to make this thing a D. Like, I in my mind at first, I'm like, this is pretty crappy. But when I really think about it, this thing's unfortunately dog shit. This thing is not doing what you need. You need this thing to do something else. It's 17 points, and it's so narrow in what it does. You know, like if you go up against that list, it's like, oh, I have 70 infantry. Okay, this will be amazing. Literally 99.99999 of the rest of the field, it is garbage. So yeah, this will be a D. So that's everything. We've gone and graded through everything that's out there. But now we need to go and look at our A's and decide which is going to be getting that coveted S tier at the very, very top. Now, in the running here, we actually have quite a few A's. We have 7 A's in here. We have the Stormstrider, we have the Force Generator, we have the Trident, we have the TEP, we have the Railless Interceptor, we have the Throne of Everblight, and we have the Siege Animantrax. All of these, very, very good. So whoever wins here, you know, thank you to all of our competitors. You all did amazing. But when I look at these, and they're all about the same points, they're either 17 or 16 points, which one really does the most for you? What is the one where I really wish I'd have this? It's always going to be effective. It's always going to be doing work. It's always going to be doing awesome things for me. Which one is the one that really comes up here on top? And to me, with the sadness in my heart, I gotta give this to the Siege Animantrax. It is on the 17 points, it is higher, but this thing has so many different things it can do. It can get always the 3 tokens you need and usually be healed up, even though it's a damage thing. It can do big damage from shooting. It can do big damage from charging. It can be doing both at the same time and mix up its activations as well with stab, 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 charge, attack, shoot, or trample, whatever you need. It's doing everything. So Siege Animantrax, I'm changing you over to the S. you are the best battle engine in the game. So there you go. You know, this is a massive one. What am I doing today? Today I made a 45-minute video, and now I'm doing an hour-long video. Apparently I don't need to sleep. It's 1 in the morning. I coughed a little bit. I'm not going to re-record this. Deal with it. So there you have it. Darrell Duncan, thank you for supporting us there on Patreon, and thank you to all my other patrons. You're the ones that are giving me the energy to actually make all these videos, but also the people who are giving me the energy to do this is all the rest of you who are taking the time to watch this. And to all of you, I want to thank you so much, and we'll catch you later. Bye.